I don't look like JB Ellis. He has a goatee. I have a beard. Sometimes he has a beard, but then he cuts it. Punk. But anyway, shout out to JB Ellis. He actually couldn't be in tonight. So I am QB2 for tonight. This is Cubfidential. This is the best Cubs coverage this side of Wrigley. I am Denzel Snipes, your producer and your backup host. And we've got a loaded show today. Cubs, they're 7-4 since the All-Star break. And a lot of happenings happening as of right now. They are 2 games back of 500. They've been on a surge as of late. Let's go ahead and bring the crew in here. We have Jacob Krisner and we have
Nick Bodkins.
Nick Bodkins. Whenever I think he's
obviously using AOL.
Yeah, he's definitely got dial-up internet or something.
Yeah. No, but just letting you know real fast, I just saw something. You were off the thing, but I just saw something where Josh Harris and Magic Johnson, during a little interview today, kept saying the word Redskins. So there's a rumor they might try to get that name back.
Oh wow, yeah. You know what?
Yeah.
I did see something like that. And there he is. All right. And welcome to the show. I did see something like that about the Commanders, who's possibly going to change their name yet again back to the Redskins. Who knows?
Really quick, we're going to talk about. I'm probably going to bring that onto our next topic next week. But the thing that's going to probably happen is this is probably why they brought Magic Johnson in, because you bring him into the meetings like that. He's a charmer, and
Yes.
and you have to go to the USPTO. And because they already banned that word to everything at the time. So he'd have to go there and charm them.
Yeah, he would. He definitely is the mediator with that. Well, let's get into some Cubs baseball here. And so, talking about the Cubs National Series, the Cubs take 2 of 3 at Wrigley, including a 17-3 destruction on July the 18th. We covered that game just last week, so this one will be about the series. Let's start off with Mr. Bodkins down there. Your thoughts on this series?
On the Cubs card series? Was that the
Cubs Nats?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, man, it started off real shaky, right? Like I was like, man, we're gonna lose to one of the worst teams in all of baseball. We lost that first game, and then we kind of bounced back, and we're kind of did okay. I was like, oh, this is where we're gonna lose this series, and I was like, we're just gonna end up selling. But we kind of turned it around. I think where we took 2 out of 3. It seems like so long ago because you're just so stuck on the Cardinals, and then even tonight's game against the White Sox. But I thought it was a pretty decent series after the first initial game where we lost.
Yeah, absolutely. And at this time period, it's imperative, and we always say this, is you win the games you're supposed to win. And this is what I'm talking about, whenever you play a Nats, and we'll get to the Cardinals next, when you play a Nationals or you play an Athletics or a Rockies or something like that, you win the games you're supposed to win, because it could be tight, come September, and you never know, those games might be the ones to get you over the top. And if they don't, you're going to be looking back like, man, we really could have been up here at the top of the division going into the postseason. But I want to swing it to Jacob and get your thoughts about this series, especially that, 17-3, boy, those bats came alive.
Well, it reminds me of when they said it was 3-3, and they said, now we're back in the game, and they score 14 more. Yeah. But biggest thing about something like this is I keep saying, I have a friend of mine from back home. I tell this to him. He and I talk Cubs all the time. I say it to them. They're a manager away and maybe a couple of pieces on the thing. Why in the heck was it? We'll talk about this in another thing, but why was Michael Fulmer in the dang game last night? Could have blown that stupid thing. You know what I'm saying? That is the point I'm bringing up. You make stupid decisions like that, it costs you in playoffs, especially when you got top-notch NL teams out there right now. They'll just blow you away. But exactly. The thing about the Cubs, though, they've got a roster. They've got good, solid hitters. And the thing is, they have enough of a roster to get somebody's attention to go for a playoff run due for the trade deadline. They've got a roster to be able to build around. As long as you want to get rid of Mastrobuoni, to be able to get somebody else.
I mean,
Go ahead, Nick.
To me, like, I was gonna say, like, you're right. We do have the roster. We're just missing like that bullpen piece. Like that, we need like we need a solid closer. We need that 7-8. We've been saying that for months. It's like, yes, like we're all like we should be trying to buy here in this trade deadline. I know, like we're kind of getting already off topic a little bit, but like that's what we should be doing. We should be trying to buy though, right? Like, if we sell, I swear, if we sell, like we're right there. You look at our run differential right now, we're one of the tops in the National League. Like we can do this. If we can come back tonight and win, and you go back into St. Louis, you take 3 out of 4. Like we're going to be sitting at 5 or a little bit over 500. We're, right now we're 5 back of the wild card, 6 back of the division, or vice versa. Without looking at it, I'd have to look at it like right away. But
and the Cubs are tied at 7. And the Cubs are tied at 7. They were down 7-1.
Yeah.
Oh, they just tied it?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Nick.
So why not? Why are we looking at trading Cody Bellinger, who's might be the hottest hitter in all of the National League, and if not all of baseball? Why are we? I know Stroman struggled today, but why would you not want to keep him and
continue about shopping Stroman
of him and Steele? Like this is the troublesome. And if Jed Hoyer, which I just firmly believe that's what he could do. So we're 6.5 right now, back of the division. You look at our run differential, plus 45. That leads the division. Shoot, that's we're only behind the Dodgers. Somehow the Padres have a higher run differential and they stink. In Atlanta, so we're 4th in plus run differential in the National League. Like Jacob said it, we got the lineup. We're missing one aspect of this whole team, and that's really just back in rotation, back in bullpen help. Heck, Jacob's guy,
Hendricks.
No, Italian. He pitched really well
Hendricks, but yes.
Italian's your guy. Hendricks is both our guy, but Talon is your guy.
Hendricks was my guy before you, pal.
I've been a Hendricks guy the whole time.
So
you might have been touting him on the show before I came on, but I've been touting him a long time too. So I really have. I love the professor.
I got the gray hair. I win.
I'll give you that. But he pitched well. So if he can continue, that's now 2 starts in a row. He's pitched pretty well. So maybe he can have a second half resurgence. Like, let's go win this dang thing.
Well, and the biggest thing. Well, here's the thing. I'm gonna.
Go ahead.
Let me say this here. Biggest thing that we say about, and I'll tell you why. Yes, Stroman is right on the clock. Stroman's on the block, but you want to know what the whole thing, and I'm going to just be completely honest with this situation. Jed Hoyer stinks, but I'm going to say this part right now. Absolutely, I mean, Marcus Stroman is too loud for Jed Hoyer, because you're trying to trade a guy who's struggling since he got the blister, and you're struggling, who has some of the pitches, but yet you don't. There is no word on letting, if you're going to do this, letting Kyle Hendricks go, who is darn near under a 1 whip since he's come back. Mm-hmm. Darn near under it. And it's like, and all that kind of stuff like that. Who has right now, let's see, who has had 9 starts and 6 quality. And he's not in that thing, but Marcus Stroman is. Guess what? You want to know what it is? We can say it's the black-white thing. But even if it was the whole deal, guess what? Marcus Stroman's loud. Jed Hoyer does not want the loud guy. He wants the quiet guy who went to Dartmouth. And that's the big. And I love Hendricks. I don't want him to go, but notice that he's nowhere to be found in that little trade deal. Stroman is.
Yeah.
Well, that's because I think Stroman's a little bit younger in that too, and like. I mean, they signed Stroman. Why not? And he talked about having an extension. Like, why not extend him? What are we just? This. You mentioned Jed stinks. This is what happens when you give your friend the job and he's not qualified.
Mm-hmm. And his name's Jed. I mean, he can't be smart.
Wow.
But no, it's like. But that's the thing. It's the fact that I like Marcus Stroman, but he's gonna be 10-8. He's gonna be 10-7 still after tonight. They just tied the game, so he won't lose anything. But
No, they took the lead now.
Yeah. Oh, they lead. Okay. So it's like it's 10-7. This is the thing. It's like I said to you before. Jed Hoyer loves him, the quiet guy from Dartmouth for the economics degree, who's not going to cause any, who's not going to pick up any problems. Marcus Stroman's been loud about this contract from day one.
Yeah.
And he will rather, even if the guy gets hot elsewhere, he would rather get rid of that and not have that problem. Especially if the Cubs will sneak into the playoffs, you know darn good and well the Jed Hoyer will get an extension. You know it. It will happen because it's his buddy.
Yep, absolutely. Well, we do have to get on to our next topic here, and I think this is the one that Nick was looking for. Cubs-Cardinals series. Cubs take 3 or 4 versus the division rivals. Steele gets the win on July 21st, and he moves on to 10-3 on the season. Nick, your thoughts?
Man, this game. So we lose the first game. We lose on Thursday, 7-2. We bounce back in a close game. 4-3 on Friday, and then that was it. Saturday's game is that it was a battle back and forth, and you're just like, man, can we just win this game? They scored 3 runs there in the 6th, and get to 8-6. Sunday we just absolutely blew them out. Yet on Sunday's game, so 7-2. So that was a nice, easy game. But you're just like, man, Saturday's game was just kind of back and forth. You're just like, can we just win this game? And then if we get to Sunday, we got a chance really to, take 3 out of 4. And that's what you always want to do. And it's weird to me that we're going to play this 4-game set starting tomorrow against the Cardinals, and then we're done with them. That's, here in mid-July.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much, and not to mention the last series that the Cubs played the Cardinals was in London, and the Cubs won that series, but
no, 1-1.
Was it 1-1? Oh, okay,
yeah.
Okay, that's right. Oh, wait, my bad. It wasn't a 3-game series. They split it. That's right.
See, that's where that was the mistake I had with Stroman, because remember, Stroman it was that I did not realize because they were off 2 days because of the travel. I was the ones that missed on that because I thought they were making a mistake on Stroman starting. But because he had started the night before our show.
Right. Oh,
so
okay.
I made that mistake. So it's like it's just because of that travel.
Yeah, it is, but you know what? I mean, on the Justin Steele, man. I mean, 10-3 on the season. Part of the 3-headed monster with him, Stroman, and Hendricks. I mean, dude, what is the chance that Steele has a 20-win season?
Oh, I mean, I'm gonna call him Remington. But seriously, it's like, call him Remington Steele. He'll be the smooth guy that gets all the women. But but the thing is, he possibly could be. You can't tell because even Hendricks right now should be 8-4. The bullpen has blown 4 of his games.
Oh,
they've blown 4 of his wins. So that bullpen's eventually going to get to Steele. They're going to get to his, and it's going to blow a couple. He's going to have a 4-1 lead, and they're going to blow 3 in the 9th. It's going to happen because the back end of his bullpen's terrible.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, and that's one thing. So I don't believe he has 20. He can get 16, but he can get 16. But there's going to be a blown games because the back end of the bullpen is going to be, if the Cubs would somehow make the playoffs in the last thing, they're going to get a close game and then they're going to blow it. It's going to be like that Dodgers Cardinals game a couple of years ago. It's going to be like that. They're going to have a 2-1 all. They're going to have a 1-1 all night long, and then the back end, Michael Fulmer's going to be the one that blows it.
Yeah. I mean, with and you know what is? Oh, and you know what? Okay, I just thought about it also. Real quick, we talked about this. We asked this last week, and you weren't here last week, Nick. So I'll just ask you, and that is, there was an article I came across, and it said that James Talon actually has been pitching in front of some of the worst defense in baseball. The Cubs are the worst defense in baseball. Does Talon at least get a pass?
Oh, man. That's a tough question. I'm going to say a couple weeks ago I said I probably would have said no, but he's been pitching well. So let me come back to me in about a month or so, a couple more starts. But some of it's not. Some of it's, it's a little bit of both. He hasn't pitched great. And then, when he's when you're not an ace like him, you got to have good defense. You know what I mean? Like, you got to have good defense behind you, and he hasn't had it. So I will say I won't give him a pass totally, but I mean I would give him like right now a D plus, like as if I was going to grade him.
Okay. That's
But that grade's improving. The grade's improving.
Yeah, it is absolutely. Well, go on to our next topic here, and that's covering last night's game. Of course, we'll do the entire series on next week's show. Cubs beat White Sox 7-3 last night in the Windy City rivalry. Swanson homered twice. Suzuki stuns White Sox fans with a grand slam robbery. He said, "No, sir, not in my city." Nick, on you. Your thoughts about this game, and especially that play.
Oh man, I mean Suzuki, that saved the game, right? I mean, we win by 4. That saves the game. The grand slam, the robbery, just went up and snagged it away. Dansby Swanson, nice multi-home run game. That's now that hopefully he's getting back from that heel injury that's bothered him, before the All-Star break, and we need him to stay hot. If he can keep going with Cody Bellinger, that's a good 1-2 punch in your lineup. Along with guys who can set the table like Nico Horner. I actually read a stat the other day that when Nico Horner has like double hits, when he has double hit games, the Cubs are like 24-4 in those games. So when he has like double hit games, so like that shows you how good, like he's a good table setter guy for when Nico Horner's having multi-hit games.
Yeah, absolutely. Swanson, and you know what? It's like more and more Swanson is looking like the best offseason pickup for coming from Atlanta and joining Chicago. I thought it was more than solid. It was great. He was on the World Series team that won in 2021. But I want to swing it to Jacob here, and your thoughts about this game. Swanson homers twice, Suzuki with that play. Your thoughts.
Nico, they're 24-4 when Nico is doing 2 hits because it's called a leadoff hitter.
Yeah, 24-6 is the exact.
Okay, 24-6. Okay,
yep.
24-6 because it's a leadoff hitter. Which, guess what? We had about 572,000 leadoff combinations before this, and the Cubs weren't winning. And then they got to remember they got to the NLCS, and then they got to the playoff, and then they got to the last game and lost, and then they just bombed. After that, is in all those times they had to keep doing all those combinations. They even put Anthony Rizzo in the leadoff spot. I don't know why, but this is the thing. I was saying this last year. Everybody hears me right. Leadoff hitter every time. Losing Dexter Fowler is what killed our possible dynasty. Right there. He was it wasn't anything else. It wasn't all those things. Dexter Fowler, the leadoff guy, the guy that's a table setter. That is what you need every time. No matter how many new things you put in baseball, there are still things that you want to see. You still want to see stolen bases. You still want to see strategy. You still want to see a leadoff hitter. You still want to see this. You still want to see strategy with the lower 7-8 guy. And I do wish pitchers hit, to be very honest, but it is what it is. You still want to see those things. And as far as Suzuki, I mean, thank God he caught it, but it got Kyle out of the game. Thank you. Because Kyle usually gives that up. Because what he is Kyle used to be a door slamming dominant. Now he's a good pitcher with those moments. He got saved this time, but it's like he used to slam the door. He doesn't do that anymore. But he's also 31 years old, and he's got 9 years in. It's like, okay, he is what he is now. He's going to be a good, solid innings eater from here on out. That's going to get 1 run, 3 hits, but he's going to give up those near grand slams because that's when he gets tired. He never used to do that, but that's the thing. But it's like Suzuki saved it last night. That's what a team does.
Kyle's reverted back to, remember when we first got him, that I think it was like 2015. 14, but like 15, remember, he was like that fringe pitcher on the 15 team. And it was like, hey, you know what I mean? And it's like when he pitched really well, he was really good, but like we just couldn't count on him to go past like the 5th or 6th inning. He's kind of back to that. I mean, he had that run, from 2016 to last year till he got hurt, he was like almost the ace of the staff. You could count him every time, but now it's
7
like
innings for 6 years straight. 7 innings every week. I mean, 7, 8 innings every single time. He's not. It's like that's the thing about it, is why I can't stand the way that this team gets managed. It's like if you don't calm him down, like last night it was beautiful for about 4 innings. He had like 28 pitches. That's what you got to do with this guy, is make sure he is picking his pitches right and he's not getting as many in there. Because the minute he's got 52 pitches in 3 innings, we know it's a long night.
Yeah.
And it's like, and we know it's a long night, and it's like we got to get that in. You got to get into his head about, okay, we need you to get that, because if he pitches amazingly if he limits his pitches and forces the ground ball. That's why I didn't like hearing in the off season about, we're going to get more velocity. Why? Why do you need more velocity on a guy that places the pitch? Why? Yeah. It's like, and especially when he's older, you don't need it. He's older, and he's a good pitcher. Okay, fringe. He might even be fringe in that way. He's going to have a bad time here and there. He's not the elite guy anymore. But I'll tell you this, there's 31 teams in the league that take him.
Oh, 100%. I agree with you.
Yeah, they'll take him in a hurry, because there's a lot of teams in this league that have a lot of trouble with their staffs, and they would love a guy like that. A quiet 6, 7 innings every damn night. Every damn 5 weeks, every 5 days. I mean, what do you think the Detroit Tigers would be saying right now?
Oh,
I mean, he doesn't want to go to the Tigers. I mean,
no.
Bobby Baez wants to go there.
but no, of course. No, but I'm saying, what would an Oakland A's is 28-65, you get my point. What would they be saying about a guy who quietly gets 6, 7 innings, who quietly does
I'm sure,
get 2 runs?
There's contenders that would take him as their 4th or 5th starter. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely. Could you imagine DeGrom and back-to-back DeGrom and Hendricks?
Yeah.
If DeGrom's healthy.
You know what? Considering that DeGrom's pretty much gone for the next 1.5, 2 years, I would not be surprised if Texas called for a trade.
Well, that's where he went. That's where he came from, was the Rangers.
They might want him back now.
and DeGrom and Hendricks in the same staff is scary, because it is 2 completely different styles.
Yeah.
Completely different styles.
I want to touch on Dansby real quick. You guys, you mentioned like he looked like the best. He looks like the best signing of all the shortstops right now.
Yeah.
Remember, this was the year of all the shortstops. Look at Carlos Correa, hasn't done anything in Minnesota. Trey Turner struggled in Philly, and like here's Dansby kind of leading this team, and so he looks like the best signing of all the shortstops that were signed in this high class of shortstops. So let's just hope. Let's see. I hope he can continue it. And like I said, we got to buy. It's trade deadline time. I know there's a lot of teams going to be looking for a lot of bullpen help, because there's a lot of teams that are in contention that their bullpen's not quite as bad as ours, but they're pretty bad.
Well, let's trade Fulmer for like a bag of Cheetos. I mean, it's like I trade
Fulmer for my old dishwasher that doesn't work right now. So that's what I'm.
Well, no, and even better, we'll take it for like the extra hot Cheetos, the ones that's overly hot and more than taste.
Oh wow, yeah. All right. Well, I want to go on to our next topic here, and that is outside of Wrigley. Our outside of Wrigley segment. BleachReport.com put this out a few days ago. The Yankees are now favored at a -150 to miss the postseason. Now, keep in mind that the last time they had a World Series appearance was 2009. In the history of the Yankees organization, the 2010s is the only decade that they did not have a World Series appearance. You signed Judge back and everything. Has it been a bit nicked up? Okay, something to this big contract, you name him the captain, and now you're favored to miss the Now, I will say this much in defense of the Yankees, and that is they play in the toughest division in baseball, bar none. Every single team in that division is above 500 by at least 5 games. Yankees just happen to be in last. But everyone knows that Yankee kind of standard, kind of way of life. You know what I mean? So I want to start this off with Nick. And I've been seeing a lot of Yankees fans calling for his head. Is Brian Cashman to blame?
So let me start. For the Yankees have not been in dead last since 1990. So Jacob was 40 at that point in time. So
56. I was 56.
So he knows. But yeah, I don't know if Cashman is partly to blame. They went all in on this analytics. I don't know if he'll be fired. I asked Johnny Cruz on our show, on the LTS show the other day. He's a diehard Yankee fan, and he hosts a show about the Yankees. And he said Brian Cashman seems to have got the last name Steinbrenner, that they absolutely love him. I mean, George is probably rolling in his grave right now and mad at the world, but it is what it is. What can you do for this team? Are they going to trade it? Can they get jump past the O's in Tampa Bay? I don't think so. I do think that right now they're probably going to miss the playoffs, and then you just reevaluate in the offseason. You might want to sell a piece here or two. Maybe they sell our guy Clyber Torres that we gave him several years ago at one time. That they're just not hitting very well. Maybe if they could get rid of the Stanton contract, maybe they do that. But I don't think it's too much high-priced guys and not enough, pieces, and they're just not getting it done. I think Boone's probably fired at this end of the year, and maybe they do fire or keep Cashman, or maybe both of them are gone. Maybe it's time to shake it up.
Maybe so. It might be time to shake it up. I've actually heard just as many Yankee fans complain about Boone as Cubs fans complain about Ross, But I want to swing this over to Jacob, and then your thoughts about this. You think Cashman to blame, or is it something else?
We brought up this tonight on the very first topic of Pundit. Brian Cashman is Donald Trump. I'll explain. He is Donald Trump, and I'll explain. He is. I'll explain. What I mean by that is Trump tries to go back. Because he's quote unquote Teflon Don. He tries to go back to the same well to go get the money and get the same way that he was quote unquote successful before. But you only have a certain amount of time before it starts to fade. And the biggest thing about it is the fact that for instance, when Donald Trump went on to Make America Great Again, he did it right smack dab in the middle of a world that you can go. We can do FaceTime with people in India for free.
Yeah.
He's doing it where the world is smaller. So it's not, and Make America Great Again is 1986 mindset. And he's going to that. He goes to that well. Brian Cashman is going to the well of the 6 World Series, but going to the same well that he got to those, which the world has changed. You don't go to Americans for baseball anymore. You go to Puerto Ricans a lot more. Go to Japanese a lot more. It's more worldwide. He's doing the same things he did in 2003, 8, 9, 1996. He's doing all those things, and the world's changed. So that's why I mean by that he thinks he is Donald Trump in that way, is he's trying the same things that was making him successful before that won't anymore. And so is he to blame in that way? Yes. But this is the thing I keep saying about Brian Cashman to every Yankees fan ever. Be careful. Be careful. Replace him with Theo Epstein or whatever really good one out there. Make sure it's a successful guy, because you just replace him with a Jed Hoyer type and you can get 63 wins the next year, then you'll really be mad. Then you'll wonder where Cashman is again, because it's what you Yankees and Mets fans do all the time. So just make sure you replace him properly. Cashman has 6 World Series, like 13 ALCSs. Some ridiculous number. Okay. Understood that you're mad and it might be time to go. Replace it properly, or you'll be wondering where Cashman is. I promise you.
Yeah. Now, totally great commentary on that one. I will say this much: if we're as far as owners or they're doing everything kind of the old school way, like Cashman is. You compare him to Trump and everything. It's kind of like Jerry Jones in the NFL, or even Vince McMahon in WWE. We're all wrestling fans here on this panel.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob, how many times have you, and Nick, you're hearing me say this for the first time. Jacob, how many times have you heard me say the product will get better when the old man goes away?
Yeah. So, third time tonight.
Yeah, and that's just tonight.
Yeah, third time tonight.
And that's just tonight. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you know something?
So,
I've said it about WWE, and the old man went away. The Dallas Cowboys
Yeah, now
won't
he's
flip another
somewhat
Super
back.
Bowl until
Yeah.
but not in creative or anything, you know. And I mean, it's still Triple H's show, and that's good. Leave Vince back in the business side, okay?
Yeah.
And that's it.
So
Well,
what you and to that what you're saying is pretty much like, so times have evolved, right? It's things have continued to evolve, and you're stuck. That person's not evolving. They're still stuck in, well, we did it this way for 20 years and we got X amount of X, but we haven't got it the last 15 years. You know why? Because you haven't evolved. Or maybe, again, talking to Johnny Cruz, he said they went too far to the analytics side and have not evolved back into swung the pendulum back the other way and found that happy medium. So maybe they need to swing back the other way a little bit and be less analytical. Because we see that at times too. Look at it cost the Rays a World Series because they got too analytical. The pendulum swings to one way. You got to find that happy medium. So I think that you got to continue to evolve, continue to adapt.
Yes.
Hold on. I'm going to have to just say this. This is this is the news I just got right now, just from the WGEM, from Quincy, Illinois. Man gets arrested for having sex with a horse.
Oh, no.
and then he was arrested then, and then he just got caught in the same pasture, just got arrested again.
Wow. Now, see, at some point, okay, middle of the 6, Cubs 8-7. At some point, when do you blame Quincy PD for letting that man out? Like, you know how this is going to end up. Like, you know what's going to happen. Like, change some laws, do something. But
just bring up the thing. To bring it up with with the thing of the Yankees, but we're bringing it up with Vince, okay? Up to 3 years ago, with 2 or 3 years ago with Saudi Arabia, it'd be 4 years because it was before COVID. But up to that amount of time, Vince did a Hogan Flair story going into Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And they were testing Hogan's back to see if he could have a thing. He ended up doing that 5-on-5. But they were testing Hogan's back to see if he could get that. And that was 4 years ago.
Well, that was the Saudis wanting. So you know what happens in those now we're really getting off the Cubs here, but what happens with those Saudi shows is Saudi sends Vince. We're sending Vince people they wanted to pay and see. So they were asking for people like Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yes.
They were asking for, they wanted to see Hogan versus Flair, because like they were so far stuck in that time that they haven't evolved.
No. But they got to this thing, but it's like just they would just take Hogan and Flair just to look at. That's what they would do.
Yeah.
Vince is still so in the non-evolved thing, and he would have put a match together with those two. Would have gotten a pop? Of course, it would have gotten a pop because they're masters.
We got the awful DX versus Brothers of Destruction.
That was not a good match, but I will say this: Shawn Michaels showed he was the absolute best of all time. But he was glad. I'm glad he finished it after that because he is the best. He had to save that stupid match because the Triple H gets hurt.
Yeah, he tore his.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, even worse, we got Goldberg versus The Undertaker, but continue.
Let's go break the Undertaker's neck. That's a wonderful idea. But but that was the thing. It's like the Saudis themselves would have just accepted Hogan and Flair in person, just talking, even to the thing. But he literally was trying to set a match up. With the Hogan in his back versus Flair, who we already know how bad that looks. And would it have gotten a pop? Yes, because they're masters of the game. But that's what Vince is. Triple H doesn't want. We're never going to see Hulk Hogan again once Triple H takes over fully. And it isn't because of anything personal. He wants to get rid of the legend stuff. He wants to get rid of He wants these new kids moving.
He does.
It's a new world.
Yeah, and essentially to Nick's point, I'm going to say this and we got to move on here. To Nick's point, the Saudis are essentially that guy, and it happens every Super Bowl party. They're that guy that shows up to the Super Bowl party, and he's so out of touch with football. He asks you, "Is Barry Sanders still playing ball?"
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Man, that guy was awesome, man. He was electric, and it's like, bro, where have you been the last 24 years?
Well, take a look at their hairline, and they're 43.
Yeah, pretty much. But
Yes.
on to our next topic, and that is it's a version of our Cub hot Cub time machine. Hang on a second here. I'm gonna double check something. In fact, I'm gonna just continue. Okay, it's our it's a variation of our hot Cub time machine, but it's the second ever that we're doing this, and this is Cub versus Cub throwback edition. Maddox is on the mound. Sosa's up to bat. Strikeout or home run? Real quick, Nick, go.
Strikeout.
Reason?
I mean, we just said Greg Maddox. First of all, which era of Sammy Sosa are we talking about? Are we talking about the real dark Sammy Sosa, the whiter Sammy Sosa, or what's kind
The
of
one that looks like you?
Yeah, the one that looks like, but no, Maddox, man, I just believe it. Maddox all day. There's only one guy that can hit off Greg Maddox. His name was Tony Gwynn, and you didn't ask me if it was strikeout or home run, so I'm going to say Greg Maddox.
Okay,
Strikeout.
and then what about you, Jacob? What do you think?
Oh, dude, Maddox strikes him. Maddox probably gets him grounded out in 2 pitches, but it's a strikeout, no question. You gotta understand something with Sosa. 328 average with 60 home runs, a 58 home run average, and a 300 average. Great hitter, do not get that wrong. But he struck out a ton in big situations, and especially against guys like Maddox.
Yeah.
Guys like Maddox, he's waiting for a fat one, and it's not there. I mean, Sosa struck out an absolute ton against the left-handed floaters. A ton against them. He's trying to kill it. He tried to kill everything. You got to remember, his body was so beat up that he broke his ribs sneezing 1 week.
Yeah.
So it's like he broke his ribs sneezing because he has so much torque on everything that he hurt his body all the time. He torqued everything, and it's like, now here's the thing: he 100-mile-per-hour pitchers, he hit on the wavelength every time. But guys like Jamie Moyer, guys like Maddox, all kinds of trouble.
Maddox wouldn't give him anything that he could just cleanly hit. That's the thing.
Yep.
Oh, Maddox, I'll tell you this: Sosa would have struck out again. Oh, we bring up Hendricks again. He was struck out against him because you saw that pitch last night on that changeup in the left-hand corner. That would get Sosa all day.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That would get him all day. It's like there wouldn't be a down the middle shot for Sosa to get by any stretch. And Maddox would probably get him to ground out in 2 pitches. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a 76 pitch complete game against the Cubs. I mean, he made Grace strike out twice, which Mark Grace wouldn't strike out twice in a month sometimes.
Yeah. So
it's like Greg Maddox was the smartest pitcher I've ever seen in my darn life. So no, that's why I laughed at you about the thing. Sosa would have 0 career homers with this.
No home runs. Yeah. And our final one of the night, and that is our Cub or Dud. So the Cubs are now 6 games back of the Brewers, 2 games back of 500. Is a surprise postseason run imminent? Nick, what do you think? Cub or Dud?
I'm gonna say Dud. I want it to be stud, but I just don't. I don't know. I think something. We're gonna do something stupid here at the deadline, and I'm gonna say Dud.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'll ask you the same question as I believe was last week. Cubs 81-81, finished 500. You think they could finish at 500 at least?
I'm missing my internet cut out real quick. Sorry. What'd you say?
I think this is the Cub or Dud from last week. The Cubs finishing at 500, 81-81. That a little bit more realistic?
Yeah, that's more realistic. I'd say stud at that point.
Okay, then. All right, so on to you, Jacob. Cub or Dud? Cubs now 6 games back of Brewers, 2 games back of 500. What do you think about an imminent postseason run?
You have to win the division because even if they would sneak the final, again, this NL is absolute loaded this year. They are loaded. and you know the Braves and Dodgers are going to go loaded for bear in September. It's like, can you take the division? They're 6 out, but unless you really get a top-notch reliever at that deadline, I'm going to go dud just because it'll be you're trying to make the run and it's Ross. Mm-hmm. That's where you got to go get a manager in the offseason. I mean, it's like a Joe Madden, anything like that. Absolutely, I believe it. I mean, even Girardi. I mean, that's better than Ross. But I mean, you make your run maybe, but it's just like there are just like I'm just thinking of last night 7-3, and here comes Michael Fulmer in the game. Why? It's like I know his contract. He's about to get bonuses in his contract. My wife liked him at dinner. I don't what I mean,
Ross is I think Ross is kind of like too much into the player, right? Like wants to believe. Just sometimes you got to just say, "Hey, man, you ain't got to."
He's a player's coach.
I've been a coach, a mentor, and everything. I might be the same boat, but there's a huge difference on something. I like to be a one-on-one to be able to do something like that, not through the whole thing. And in the end, you got to win. And you got to win. And here's the big thing. If you're a true players coach, you become Dusty Baker, which Dusty has everybody's interest, not one.
True.
And I mean, Dusty Baker go ahead.
I was going to say they'd have to jump 5 teams. They'd have to jump Arizona, Miami, Cincinnati, Philly, and San Francisco to make the wild. So I know the bottom 2. So really 3 teams, really Arizona, Miami, and Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And they're all about 5 games back because the Arizona and Miami's 5 and are a half game out of the second wild card. So you're really 5 back of those 2 teams.
It's you got to realize this is not Dusty Baker at all as a manager, not in the least. And it's not even a Girardi or anything like that. It's Ross, who's I don't trust that for anything. And his one time he gets into the playoffs, he gets shut out twice at home. He gets shut out twice at home. I don't trust David Ross for something like that. You got to get yourself a better manager. Go get Mattingly. Go get somebody else. So, do I say if I'm wrong? I hope that would be awesome. I'd love to be wrong because I'd love to be able to go to that Bobby G's over in Alpharetta, Georgia, which I'm giving a little shill to. I'd love to go to that Chicago bar and be able to celebrate another World Series, but not this time.
Understandable. Well, that is our show for the evening. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Cubfidential, as well as our whole loaded slate on Sideline Sports. To Mr. Nick Botkins, where can everybody find you?
Yeah, find me on the Let's Talk Sports Network tomorrow night for our Let's Talk Sports show. We're going to be covering the NFC North Division and a little UFC 291 preview. So tune in for that, 8 o'clock Central Time Zone.
All right. And Jacob, real quick, where can everyone find you?
I'm going to have to remember the Central Time Zone if I go home to visit Mom. I'm going to have to remember to go behind. That's Quincy, Illinois, so I'm going to have to remember that. But let's see. Sundays, Basket Bros. Monday nights, I'm just not even going to bring up pundit views anymore. We're doing a final show the next week. But it's going to be off the top rope with the sniper and the pundit. We're doing that. We're getting that show going now. And I'm probably bringing back, when she gets all settled, I'm probably bringing back Yin and Yang with TJ Sampson. That's going to be off the Sideline Sports Network, but we're going to be starting that because people are starting to ask us where we're at. So they like the show. So we're doing that. Tuesdays off, Wednesdays, these 3. Yeah, Pundit, Sports Exchange, this. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, nothing for now, but if anybody ever wants me on Gauntlet, they know where to call me.
All right, and that is our show. We actually had a pretty good show, ran about 43 minutes, but hey, that's how we do here at Sideline.
Great job, Nick.
Pundit for Nick and myself.
Thanks.
Shout out to JB Ellis. He'll be back next week. This is Cubfidential, the best Cubs coverage this side of Northside Chicago. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you later.